Here is how we're all going to be able to grow lettuce, especially during the heat of the summer or above flying in the air. You're going to get lettuce. And I don't recommend this. If you do it this way, I have literally had my lettuce grow 6 months. Let the birds come in and eat it in a flower pot. Oh my God, it tastes so good. This is going to be long because I have a whole lot to say on lettuce. Now we're going to go over 5 major tips, and we're going to start with the seeds. Because once you start growing lettuce, you're going to have a lot of it bolting and have a lot of seeds. Now, I leave it out for the birds, and as you can see here, we have the lesser goldfinches around here. This is a big part of their diet. They absolutely love it. I love watching them eat it. And I'm going to tell you, no matter how much you've got out there and how many birds are all over it, they never can get it all. And if you didn't share, you don't have to if you don't want to. Let me tell you something, you'll have far more than you'll ever need. You could absolutely save some. But let's just talk about growing it right now. Make sure you have a container that has drainage. And I want you to use a potting soil on this. Get a fairly good one. I mean, even Miracle Grow or any Dr. Earth, any of those are really good. Kellogg's. Make sure it's kind of on the fine side. And then once you have it in there, because we don't want insects in there, you're going to just crush that flour on the top. There's tons of flowers. Crush them and sprinkle the seeds in. They'll be all over. And don't worry about getting bits of the flour. It would fall that way with nature in there and become part of the soil. Now what you're going to do is put a tiny bit of soil on top. You really don't want to cover them too much. Basically, only cover as thick as the seed is, so it's not a lot. And then you're going to water it in. Now, don't worry if the seeds shift and the plants are going to come up all over, because the baby lettuce is the easiest thing to move. So you want to make sure you get them really, really wet. The most important thing with lettuce, the seeds, is to keep them damp for at least 3 or 4 days. You want to make sure those seeds know they've got water around them, not underwater, just damp, like a sponge that you would wring out, but there's water there to get them to germinate, and boy, do they germinate quick. Now, you could just cover them lightly with any plastic bag from the grocery store or something off of a food product, and then just tie it on there. It doesn't have to be tight, doesn't have to be airtight. The point is, you want to make sure they don't dry out. If they dry out during the process of them starting to grow, the seeds may never grow. Now, if you want to do it this way, this is another method I've got. I just take a cardboard box, cut off a piece that's going to fit on top of whatever container I'm going to grow in, and then I'm going to cut out the center. Now, this is not only to keep moisture in, and it does help a little bit. You don't want insects in there, because insects are so attracted to the baby lettuce. And if your soil's got insects in there, roly-polies or whatever, they're going to eat your baby lettuce. Though I do use fine soil from the garden from another tote. I kind of look through. There's so much in there. I don't worry about the few that might be in there. But anyways, I take some tulle and I fold it over, usually, in half. So there's 2 pieces on top there. And then I just cut some strips from the cardboard. Is this going to last a long time? Of course not. It doesn't matter. We're just trying to grow lettuce and it's free. So we put the cardboard on top and we sandwich in the tulle. This is a free way of doing it. A very easy method to protect your lettuce, especially if it's going to be outside. And I do generally leave my lettuce outside in the shade, but I want it to get a little bit of sunlight, because lettuce does like sun. So if you can get it to get a little bit of sunlight during the day, that would be great, as long as it won't dry out. Now just staple on the tulle whatever way you want, with the cardboard or not, it doesn't matter. In other words, you can staple the tulle straight to it. This is just kind of a very temporary thing you're only going to use for a short time. And now you've got a cover. The easiest thing to do is just tie it with some string like I did the plastic bag. And this way no birds get in there, no insects get in there, nothing will touch your lettuce. And in a matter of a few days, it's that quick, the lettuce starts to come up. It is the fastest growing seed. I think it's faster than radishes, and radishes are supposed to be really fast. And then just keep it covered. So you can open it up, you can water it, or you can water it through the tulle, but you can keep an eye on it. Right now, They're too small for me to move. I don't move them at this height. They're just too tiny. And I want them to get some size because once they start to grow, you can leave them in there unbelievably for months and plant them. Here's one in an ice cream container. Just make sure everything's got drainage and everything is protected. Yeah, I have a little piece of walking onion growing in there. Here's another demonstration. This is another group of flowers that was on one lettuce growing there. The birds attacked it, which is what I want them to do. And I'm just crushing it. This is a mushroom container, something I picked up at the grocery store when I buy mushrooms. And I'm just crumbling everything in there. The flower, parts of the flower, it doesn't matter. Even if I don't see any seeds, I know there's some there. Just kind of crumble them up. They're there. And get them on the surface of the soil. Now, if you don't want to cover them, you don't have to, but I still like starting them and watering them and keeping them outside, though I have put them in windowsills and they will start that way. See, you could just water it in. If you want, sprinkle the smallest amount of soil on top, but the watering will push the tiny seeds down. This is only like 2 weeks old. So days later, you see them starting to pop up. Now, you could do the same thing if you're buying lettuce from the store. In other words, the seeds. Just sprinkle a little bit. Don't use the whole package. And the lettuce we are talking about right now is only romaine lettuce. So you could probably grow any type of lettuce this way. Right now, what you're going to see here is romaine lettuce only. Why? It's the fastest growing lettuce I think you can get. It's sturdy and it's eager to grow and you can move it easily. Look at this. These lettuces have been in there for about 3 months and look how they come right out and they're ready to grow. This is fantastic. Now, this is the next thing we're going to do. The first one we're going to grow in is a dishpan. These are 18 quarts, which is 4.5 gallons. They usually come in black, these dish pans, and white only. And I get them at Walmart and they're under $5 each and I've been growing everything in them. The important thing is drainage and it doesn't matter where you put the holes. Here's another dish pan I set up. I did it also with a trellising type thing here, but we're going to talk about that another time. And I put the holes in the center. Why? So when I water the lettuce, this particular dish pan will water the lettuce underneath. So the water isn't just going on the ground. It's going to water my other lettuce. So it's going to work out really, really well. Now, this is how I grow it. It's crazy. I know people have told me you cannot use weeds, and we'll show you a couple times here. These are weeds that I literally went around the yard. Oh, real quick, I want you to see it has drain holes. And this one's going on the top shelf. And I just filled it up with weeds straight out of the ground. Honestly, this is the way I grow. You don't have to grow this way, but I save money on soil and compost. And think of these horrible weeds that we don't like growing, which is just a plant that doesn't belong in our garden. It's still a plant. And these send out a taproot, pulling all kinds of wonderful things out of the soil. Why not use them? Once I pack them in there, you saw me cut them up. I cover it with whatever soil at this point that I get. And normally this is coming out of other totes, buckets, or whatever I can find. Yes, of course, you can use a potting soil that you buy from the store. Make sure it is a true potting mix, potting soil. Don't get the garden soil. It's not the same. It will not work. But I'm going to tell you, this is some brassica leaves I'm throwing in there now. Lettuce also is a hungry plant, very much like squash. Doesn't eat as much, doesn't demand as much compost or plant food. But what I put in there with the weeds and the few brassica leaves are more than enough for the lettuce to grow. I do not use any type of fertilizer. You can if you want. I just go back and collect all the stuff out of my own totes. You know what I put in there, all the kitchen scraps and everything from the garden. And this way I know what I'm eating. Fertilizer, whether it's organic or whatever, look it up. You do the research and see how they make that. I want to be able to know that my plants are eating my other plants and we're all doing the cycle of life here. It's doing really good. Let me throw something really weird at you. Could you eat your fertilizer? Nope. It usually tells you if you accidentally ingest it, it's got heavy metals and you may have to go to the hospital. Just a thought. Maybe we need to talk about that again one day. If you want, let me know. So now I'm just topping the weeds completely with the soil. So there's earthworms and there might be some roly-polies. If I see them, I'm going to toss them out. Whatever's in there, I don't want any insects, but if there's a few, it's not going to matter. And now I'm going to just go ahead and put a little bit more soil on the top here. I want to bring it not all the way to the top, but close, because it will settle as the plants start to grow and they start to pull from here and the weeds start to break down that's underneath. It will settle down. Does it matter? Nope, because this is not a long-lived plant. Here they live about 4 months. Sometimes they go 5 months. But, they're short-lived, so you want to continue cycling your lettuce through. Now, remember that mushroom container? Look at these lettuce. This is way too much. So I'm going to tell you right now, on this dishpan, I'm putting in too many. But it's okay, because I'm going to go over many methods here. I'm trying to get rid of this because there's way too many and there's more following because I have so many lettuce seeds. But these are a little bit bigger than I want. I usually plant them smaller. But like I said, baby romaine lettuce are so eager to grow, it doesn't matter. Even when I break their roots sometimes and there's only a teeny root, a lot of them will still grow. So this particular dishpan that we're setting up right now, I'm going to set up a few because I want you to see the different ways of planting them. I'm setting up more than I need in there. So when I can go back later, if I see some of them are not growing good, they're droopy, I don't like the way they look, or they fizzled out, just remove them. Because you're going to end up with so much lettuce, you're going to be really happy about it. Now, as I'm doing this, I'm going to tell you right now, I've tried lettuce in the ground. It does not work here. We have too many critters. The temperatures, the climate, it's just not good enough for them here. I'm not set up like a farm for just lettuce where I can cater that way. I've tried them in totes and I might get a hit and miss here and there, but this has been the methods I'm going to show you today, the surefire way to get lettuce growing if you really want to get it growing. This works for me. And if you haven't tried it and you're not growing lettuce, I want you to at least try it if you want to grow lettuce. There's no set amount in here, but I'm going to emphasize one thing as we go. The less lettuce, that is less lettuce, that you put in a container, the bigger the lettuce will grow. Keep that in mind. Does it matter in my opinion? It depends on how many lettuce I've got and the way I'm growing it. No, because you can eat them. What you see right now is microgreens, small greens to make a salad with, but I don't want to do that. I want my lettuce to grow. I want to get more nutrients in there. I want it to pull from my soil. But if you remember that, you'll know sometimes, gee, my lettuce grew big last time. They grew small. Well, maybe you only had a few in there. Maybe your container only had 5 lettuce in there. Then you're going to get massive lettuce in here. They'll get really tall and big. You put as many as I'm putting in right now, you're going to have them smaller. And like I said, I don't care because lettuce to me is lettuce and I want to continue growing it here for me and Gary. We absolutely love it. And I'll tell you another way to be budget friendly if you really wanted iceberg. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. This is all you need to do. Now we're going to water it and we're going to keep it well watered. That's another thing we're going to talk about as we're going through the different methods of planting lettuce for success. Keep your lettuce watered. So you want to keep an eye on it and make sure all the plants are getting the water. And here I forgot to put one in, see? So we're going to stick it in. And this is really more lettuce than should be in a 4.5 gallon dishpan. But it's okay because they're all going to start to grow. And then I'm going to pick out the ones I want to leave or pull out the ones that maybe I just want to eat. But I generally take the outer leaves. I'm just kind of thinking that not all of them are going to make it. And look at that. These lettuce lost their roots while I was working. So I'm pushing them in the soil. I'm burying them. And they're under there with all the other weeds. It works for me. It may sound crazy. It may look crazy. Like I said, people have told me you can't bury weeds. As long as it's not that devil's grass, Bermuda grass, you're good to go. The weeds are going to die. Remember, people put cardboard down to kill the weeds? I put soil down. And look, I've got those left. So I'm going to put a little bit of soil in there and keep that container, the blue one, watered until I find another container to grow in. Now I'm just going to put it on top because this one's got the holes that's going to water the bottom. Look how nice the ones underneath are growing. This is wonderful. There's no reason why you can't grow lettuce. We've been 90 degrees for quite a while now and everything is growing good. So these lettuce underneath with a little bit of bok choy in there are going to be fine because they're also catching the water that's coming out of there, which is now breaking down because I'm composting in place with all these beautiful romaine lettuce growing. That's right, composting in place. I've told you about that for what, 10 years now. We can do it. There they are now. This is today. And you know why they're not that big? Because I'm harvesting every single day. There's the ones on the bottom, the bok choy. There's the other ones, but we're going to keep on going. Because I have another way we're going to do lettuce, and I'm going to hit 5 big tips today. And I think I want you to look them over and take the one that will work best for your garden, your patio, wherever you want to grow the lettuce. Isn't that beautiful? I even have some red lettuce growing in there. I did a whole video on that. And that's the bok choy. We've been pulling the leaves off on the bottom. Look how beautiful all those lettuce grew. Now I'm going to go ahead and take a red dishpan. These are the Sterlite dishpans. The black ones were too. These are only 12 quarts, which is a 3-gallon container. Now I'm going to tell you, for this summer, this may be the best bet for you. Now this is me. Yep. Boy, that looks like an old-fashioned movie. Out there pulling the weeds from my driveway. The horrible weeds that come out, the reason they grow there is the cars run over it, but the ones in the middle do not get smashed. So those continue to grow. And I tell Gary, do not take them out. I want to take them out when I want them. I load up the entire dishpan with weeds. There it is. Now, I can't just plant the lettuce in there. You saw what I did with the black tote, or I should say the black dishpan, but I've got to chop them up. So it doesn't matter if you cut them with a pair of clippers like this, or if you want to use the scissors. They're too hard to break. They're really tough weeds. I don't even know what they are. It's just whatever's growing. There's sow thistle and all kinds of weeds there. Hey, if they're growing, then I want them. Smash them down, and now you just start topping them with whatever else. If you got lettuce leaves left that you're not using, they were maybe yellow, brassica leaves, whatever you got from the garden, and start topping them. Those weeds are going to start breaking down right away. By the time your lettuce starts to grow and get size to it, the weeds are breaking down, the microbes broke it down, and they're going to feed your lettuce. This is important because if you have soil that doesn't have enough food in there for the lettuce that the lettuce wants, then they're not going to grow. They're going to be stunted. And a lot of the plant, potting mixes right now, I have not been able to grow in them straight without doing this. It's working for me. You're seeing it firsthand. This is it. Now I'm trying here to get rid of all the leftover lettuce because I did both of those containers. The black 18-quart dishpan you just saw me do, and now we're doing the red dishpan. I want to get them all in there, and whichever ones make it is good, and whichever ones don't, because I'm really not taking good care of each baby lettuce, they're screaming, take better care of me. Slow down. I just want to get this job done. Now you want to make sure when you put the soil in there, I pre-water everything. And if you're making compost tea, hey, by the way, you can water your soil before you put it in there, or your compost, whatever you want to call it, with compost tea as well. But you want to make sure it's damp, because if you take soil out of a bag, let's say you're going to use some potting mix on the top, or you're going to use potting mix with weeds and leaves or whatever, sometimes it doesn't suck the water in good. You'll be watering it, but it's not really damp underneath. If you moved everything over, it would be dry underneath and damp on top, and that will be the end of your lettuce. So make sure your soil is damp before you start. The only other way you can dampen the soil is by sitting the entire container in another vessel, bigger, with water, so it will suck everything up from the bottom holes and get in there and maybe reabsorb back into the soil, because dry soil out of bags is really tough. And it's tough on plants, and it's tough to start to hold water. It kind of rejects the water in a way. But here I'm just kind of putting all these lettuce in, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's too many. So my lettuce won't get big and tall. They'll probably only get about 5-6 inches tall, but that's okay. If you did half of what you see here, then they would be double the size. I don't care. I'm getting so much lettuce that I'd rather do it this way right now since I've got them, and I'll know that I'm going to keep getting lettuce, and it doesn't matter to me on the size because some of them aren't going to make it anyways. Now, here it goes. On the top, we're going to go back and see it again, and it's going to water the ones underneath. And this is what it was just a matter of a few weeks ago. It's unbelievable how quick they grow. And they're so happy in full sun, though I've added in a few things for shade. They've been doing wonderful. I've going to have to talk about this. I wasn't going to talk about the other thing because it's not just on lettuce, but what's in my hand, we're going to talk about that because this has turned out to be phenomenal. We'll get to that a little bit later. I'm putting in these silk and plastic flowers all the way around the lettuce right now. Now, mainly they were originally put in there to create some natural shade, like natural sunlight. This is natural shade. Now, what in the world am I talking about? In other words, the sun, 80, 90 degrees, is beating on the lettuce, but it's sunshade, because the sun, the earth, we're moving. The shade is moving across the plants, so they're not going to burn. This is them now. They're really lasting a long time, I'm going to tell you, because I just keep harvesting, and this has been fabulous with salad. Is that not beautiful? This has been fantastic. I have another method I'm going to show you in a minute. Now, isn't that beautiful? And you saw it firsthand. Now, this is a method that might work for some of you if you're over 90 degrees. And it works really, really well, but we're going to do it completely different. These are plastic cups. And I will say you can get them at the dollar stores. You can get them at anywhere, Walmart, Target, grocery stores. Everybody's got them. You want to make a big hole in the bottom. If you want, you can take the whole bottom out with a scissors. Here I made my large holes with my step drill. Oh, I love those things. We're going to fill up a dishpan. It doesn't matter if it's red or black, whatever dishpan you want to use. And see, each one of these have big holes in the same manner of which I did. But if you don't have a lot of weeds, put whatever you've got on the bottom and put your potting mix, whatever soil you're going to use, not to the top. You see, it's dropped down about 3 inches. This is the way I want it. Now I'm going to take 6 cups, 6, and we're going to fill it up with whatever growing medium you want to grow in. If you want to use potting mix, that's okay too. We're going to sink the cup into the soil about halfway down. You're not going to the very bottom of the container here. These dishpans, it's not sitting on the bottom. It's just sitting in the soil. Why? I'll tell you in a second, because this is really important. So we're sinking all 6 plastic cups. Do not use paper on this because it will fall apart. And we're going to sink them in. So you can do it whatever way you want. You can pre-fill them, whatever, but just put the 6 cups in there. Is this not cool? I'm telling you, this is another method that's fabulous, but not when you have a 500 lettuce sitting in that container. See the white dishpan behind there? Too many lettuce. You can cut them and use them like that too. This is really a fabulous method for anybody that's in really hot weather, very dry and hot, or even in Florida, damp and hot, and you want to grow lettuce. This is a surefire way to get lettuce to grow all summer, because I'm going to tell you a lot of things you can do with this. We're going to fill each of those cups up with whatever. Use the best soil if you can, for this, because it will really, you're only going to plant, believe it or not, 6 lettuce in here. You want to make sure everything before you plant is well watered, especially the cups. Now the cups are going to leak right into your dishpan. You cannot do this in totes. You can try it, but I'm telling you, dishpans have been the way I have been growing. We're going to pick out here, because we can just choose anything we want, 6 fairly nice lettuce, because I've got so many. So I'm going to pick out 6, the ones that have a nice little root on them. Okay, let's kind of go through here. And I'm telling you, this is unbelievable. Oh, that's a big one. Let's take that one. Why not? Because you don't want to really wait as long as I do. If you left them in there for 6 months, and I've done it, they're kind of stunted. So some will grow and some won't. But those haven't been in there for 6 months. They've only been in there for probably 2 months. Now we're going to plant. I love using silverware for this. So by the way, use silverware. They're cheap. You can get them for like $0.25 a piece. You can get a package for $1 or whatever, or $2. You're going to go ahead and plant 1 lettuce per cup. See how we're doing it? Make sure they're kind of standing up the lettuce, and they're just going to be happy. Now, why are they going to be so happy and get so big, even bigger than the other ones you saw? Because each one has no competition. It doesn't think it does. It believes it's got, once it starts to set its roots out, it believes it's got its own container. It's not competing with anybody next to it. It's happy. We're tricking the lettuce is what we're doing. But the lettuce here thinks it's got its own. Yes, I buried the outside leaves. If they're yellow, then we're not going to eat them. And we're going to water this in really good. Each one has its own home. Like I do this in totes all the time. You want to make sure you water it good. You water all the way around. Remember, we have holes in here, of course, but we want to keep it really damp, especially you want to water your lettuce really good when you first plant it because it's got to rejuvenate the roots to suck up the water. Now, let me tell you a few things as we're doing this. Lettuce has to have water. It will go bitter if it doesn't get enough water. If you let it dry out one day, the lettuce could bolt on you and you cannot reverse it because the signal was sent to the plant to say, the weather's changing, it's getting dry, it's time to try to reproduce. You cannot ever allow your lettuce to get dry or you'll have bitter lettuce and lettuce bolting. Once it bolts, get ready to start it over and let it bolt. Look at this. Look how big they get. This is unbelievable. And they're just going to get bigger and bigger and they're happy. They think when the roots went out that they escaped and they found another place to suck up more water and more nutrients. They don't know that they're growing with other lettuce, which is wonderful. But they grow so good and they're so big and so happy. And you can't miss watering them because you're watering every day, each cup, which goes directly to the root. Immediately, the roots are going to absorb that water. Then it will slowly leach out. I'm not even taking as much lettuce off as I should. We have so much lettuce growing. We're not going to eat the yellow. Take that off and compost that. But let me tell you something. On those super hot days, where you're over 90 degrees, lift the lettuce up during the day and take it in the house. Designate a place in your house for the lettuce. Now, you can't really grow lettuce happily in the house, but you can bring it in the house at the hottest part of the day. This is how you're going to grow lettuce in the summer. And then in the evening, you're going to bring it out and put it outside. Then in the next day, when it's super hot, you're going to bring it back in the house because it does love the sun, but face it, you could burn it when it's 95 to 105 degrees. You're going to bring it in the house. Might as well eat it while it's in the house and then put it out at night. This is the last method tip 5. This is a trash can that I get solely at Walmart. It's a Sterlite. I've never had them break. I have nothing to do with this. This is just stuff that I buy. I've been buying these trash cans pre-pandemic, so it's been many years now, and I still have them. They're about, I think, 1.5 gallons. They're less than $1. You can't beat it. Now, I have grown 1 lettuce per trash can, and you will get a massive, big lettuce. But I don't really like putting 1 lettuce in anything when you're planting a container up with leaves or whatever you put on the bottom because something could happen to it. So I generally put at least 2. But today, I think with you, I'm going to go ahead and put 3. What generally would happen in a container like this is 1 is going to be dominant and it's going to take off. At that point, you can either take it out, the other 2, or you can leave them. So you'll have a great big lettuce, we'll see in a minute, or you'll have some small lettuce. But let me tell you something. I know some of you, while you can watch me plant this, are going to say you really like your iceberg. Yes, I have way too much lettuce. I'll tell you how you can be budget friendly if you really love your iceberg lettuce. Go ahead and buy a head of iceberg lettuce and cut it into quarters as you go. Then you can make your big salads with that little bit of store-bought iceberg lettuce. And we're going to get into iceberg lettuce anyways another time. But you can have a head of lettuce last you for about a week. And in the meantime, you're using just a quarter of a bit of your iceberg lettuce mixed in with your romaine. I'm going to tell you right now, you will not miss your iceberg lettuce. You're going to get that crunch. You're going to think you're eating iceberg lettuce, but you're eating your romaine lettuce, which is the most healthiest lettuce you can actually eat. But it's not going to be, just the romaine. You're going to have that little bit of iceberg lettuce. And how do I know? It's crazy. Walmart accidentally delivered me an iceberg lettuce the other day. Gary said to me, "You ordered iceberg?" No. Well, they don't take it back. And I've used it now in 4 separate salads. I cut it in quarters, got rid of the outer leaves because there's been a lot of problems across the United States that I think a lot of you have heard on the news. So you don't want to use the outer leaves. Washed it real good because I don't know anything about it. just underwater, but really good. And then I added in my own romaine lettuce. Why? Because I grow so much of it. But look at this. Look how big that one got in a matter of a few weeks in the trash can. Whatever method will work for you, I want you to try one of these or all of these and experiment. And the geranium, see, here's the lettuce I did in here. I put a few extras in here. And then what ended up growing in that one is 2, because I think the other ones got smothered out. And then I ended up putting a geranium in there just in a pot. I'm propagating it. But look at this. There are so many ways we could do it. And then again, in the heat, if your lettuce is suffering outside, take it in. Designate an area, a service porch, or someplace in your house, put something down on the floor, and bring it in during the day and put it out in the evening. For some of us, growing in small containers can be perfect to make it portable in the heat. So I am hoping that I have given you plenty of ideas on how to grow lettuce. I used to try to put it outside in the ground. It just won't grow. We have too many critters out in nature that's going to take it out, whether they live on the ground or under the ground or above flying in the air. But when you do it this way, you're going to get lettuce. Now let me show you another way of doing it. There are 2 ways to harvest lettuce, and this is what I want to end with. You can actually go through, and I don't recommend this, but you can go through with a nice sharp knife. Let's move this over, and right at the base, cut. This is cut and come. Now here's the problem with this. Yes, I've got a nice little bunch of lettuce. Let's put it in my bowl, and I can soak this and use it. That little lettuce I just cut is now going through a ton of stress. It will grow again. It's going to grow a whole new center, but it could fizzle out after maybe the 3rd time or 4th time trying. If you do it this way, I have literally had my lettuce grow for 6 months, the same plant. All you do is start picking the biggest leaves from the outside. You want the largest leaves. Just gently get down to the trunk of the plant and pick the leaves that way. This doesn't stress the plant at all. It just continues to grow the beautiful center leaves, and you should be able to grow lettuce even in the heat, as long as I told you all those tips to keep it watered, don't ever let it dry out. You should be able to go for many, many months. Don't forget on those very hot days to bring it in. These things are so light that you bring it in the house, designate an area for this summer. You don't have to do it in the fall when the weather starts to cool, or even in the spring. But in the summer, you designate an area, and that's when you bring it in on the hottest part of the day. So let's say noon, 1 o'clock, you bring it in, leave it in the house to about 4 or 5, and then put them outside. The sun is already starting to go down, and they will be fine. They won't even get burned or dry out. But once you dry them out, you don't water them, they will bolt. Now, once they bolt, that's okay. Let them do their thing. If you want to feed the birds, let the birds come in and eat it, and then you collect that seed. And then you can just stick all the seeds in a flower pot and grow all the lettuce you want. All these technically should be pulled out, just as I showed you, and I will be able to grow all these into beautiful full lettuce. Is it going to grow big like what grows on a farm? No, but I'm not putting all that fertilizer in there. There's enough problems with lettuce right now. We don't know where all that fertilizer comes from. I use nature as you saw. So I hope I'm giving you tips and ideas. I have so much more coming. Grow the lettuce of your choice. Stay away right now from iceberg, though I am planning on getting in the iceberg. But right now, these leafy green lettuce, these are the ones that grow so incredibly fast. You'll be eating lettuce within weeks of planting them, and you can eat them at any stage. With that, have a wonderful day. Don't forget to eat what you grow and leave your comments, and please share this video with all your friends and family. This is so important that we all start to grow a lot of our own lettuce because it's so easy and far more nutritious because you know what it's growing in and you know where it came from. Bye-bye. Oh my God, it tastes so good. Okay, that's for dinner tonight. Cool.